When did Rome fall? Ask 100 people and you'll probably get like 3 answers because most people don't care. But if you ask this question to people that do care, you will get every answer imaginable. The dates that people might tell you can span up to 2,000 years. Now if you're like me, you're probably thinking of 2 years, 476 and 1453 AD. I can safely assure you that it isn't quite that simple. Today I will be explaining the context of all the dates people consider to be when Rome fell, regardless of their obscurity. I'm going to proceed by talking about the 3 traditional dates before I talk about the more niche ones. I'll be discussing the three traditional dates in chronological order, starting with the fall of the Republic, the fall of the Western Roman Empire, and the fall of the Byzantine Empire. 27 BC. To understand the context behind this date, we must go back to 87 BC, where civil war broke out in the Roman Republic. Over the following years, 10 civil wars occurred across the Republic. The conclusion of these civil wars occurred in 31 BC, when Octavian defeated Mark Antony in the Battle of Actium. Octavian returned to Rome in 27 BC, where he was granted the name Augustus and assumed total control over the Republic. He became the first Roman emperor, marking the end of the Roman Republic and beginning of the Roman Empire. 476 AD. Although there are a lot of people that believe Rome fell when the Western Empire fell, people disagree when this actually occurred. Most people say that 476 is the correct date, and this is the one that is traditionally taught in schools and books. Rome had begun to decline since the start of the 5th century due to a variety of reasons, including a financial crisis, infighting, and of course barbarian raids. And in 476, Romulus Augustus was forced to abdicate his position of emperor by Odoacer, which left no one in control of the western part of the empire. This is what is considered the fall of the Western Roman Empire. 395 AD. Theodosius the Great was the emperor of Rome in 395. He was named the Great because he made Christianity the official religion of Rome and defeated the Goths. But what he is perhaps most famous for doing is splitting the empire in half by creating the Eastern and Western Roman empires and letting his 2 sons control each one. Some argue that the death of Theodosius and the subsequent splitting of the empire is when Rome fell, even though the Western Roman Empire continued to exist for another 81 years. 410. In 410, the city of Rome was sacked by Germanic barbarians. Although at this time the capital of the Western Roman Empire was replaced by the city of Ravenna, the Pope and Senate were still in Rome. This was a major physical and psychological blow. The city of Rome didn't itself recover until hundreds of years later, but more importantly, this is the first time in 800 years that Rome had fallen to a foreign force. As St. Jerome famously wrote, the city which had taken the whole world was itself taken. Once again, the people that agree that Rome fell when the Byzantine Empire did disagree on when exactly the Byzantine Empire fell. I will once again start with the traditional date people consider to be when the Byzantine Empire fell, and then move on to the more niche dates. In 1453, the Ottoman forces led by Mehmed II conquered Constantinople after laying siege to the city for 53 days. This is perhaps one of the most famous and important events in all of history. The fall of Constantinople marks the end of the medieval ages and Europe's transition into the early modern era. Some say the fall of the city marks the end of Rome, some being the key word. 1071 AD. The Battle of Manzikert occurred on the 26th of August, 1071. The battle resulted in the Seljuk Turks defeating the Byzantine Empire. The Seljuks gained control over much of Anatolia and managed to capture Romanus IV Diogenes, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantines never recovered from this blow, and 1071 marks the beginning of the empire's decline. Some argue the Battle of Manzikert is the day Rome fell. 1204 AD. The Fourth Crusade began in 1202 and lasted until 1204. The crusade, called by Pope Innocent III, saw the city of Constantinople sacked by Catholic crusaders. This is because the Crusaders had come to an agreement with a prince named Alexios Angelos, the deal being if the Crusaders could restore Angelos' father as emperor of the Byzantine Empire, then they would aid the Crusaders with their invasion of Jerusalem. The Crusaders laid siege to the city, and eventually Angelos' father was crowned co-emperor, but was soon disposed after. Left without the support they were promised, the Crusaders saw to they were compensated by sacking and looting Constantinople. Catholic Orthodox relations have only recovered from this in recent times. 1475 AD. The Principality of Theodoro was the final rump state of the Eastern Roman Empire. A rump state is essentially a part of a larger state that was conquered. The Principality of Theodoro was conquered shortly after Constantinople in 1475, also by the Ottomans. 1797 AD. The Republic of Venice was created in 421 AD. Even though it wouldn't be considered a republic today, at the time when the world was ruled by kings and sultans, it was far ahead of its time. The state was created when Venetians voted in a leader, and the Byzantium allowed the state its independence. The state fell into French control in 1797, when a young Napoleon threatened to invade it if they didn't surrender to him. From this point on, the Venetian Republic ceased to exist. It is technically the longest lasting republic ever, outlasting Roman Republic by roughly 800 years. 1806 AD. The Holy Roman Empire began in the year 962, and lasted all the way until the 19th century. Some people say the HRE was neither Holy Roman or an empire. I am people. But of course I will explain the 1806 argument the best I can. From the empire's inception in 962, it became the most powerful empire in Europe and remained it until the 12th century. Now you're likely thinking, why do these guys think they are Romans? Well, to explain that we must go back another 162 years, until the year 800. This is during the height of the Frankish Empire, and this guy called King Charlemagne controlled much of Western Europe. Charlemagne converted a lot of pagans they conquered into Christians, and took control of Italy when the Pope asked him to, and as a result Pope Leo III awarded Charlemagne with the title of Roman Emperor. Now flash forward to 962 and Otto the Great had taken control of Italy and is conquering and converting lots of pagans. Once again the Pope took it upon himself to decide who the next Emperor of Rome was, and in 962 Pope John XII granted the title Otto I. The empire would continue to exist until 1806, when the empire was dissolved thanks to our buddy Napoleon. 1922 AD. Some people believe that after the Ottomans' defeat, the Byzantium took control of Constantinople that became the next continuation of Rome. The Ottoman Empire would last for centuries later until it fatally decided to side with Germany during the First World War, which of course they would lose against the Entente powers. In the Treaty of Sèvres, what remained of the Ottoman Empire was partitioned between several nations, but mainly the British, French, Italians and Armenians. This partition ended in 1922, and a year later the Turkish national movement declared Turkey a republic, and with this Rome fell, at least according to some. 1943 AD. Our final date is September 8th, 1943, the day Italy surrendered to the Allies during the Second World War. Now there isn't much to be said about 1943, because there's no real arguing or explaining for other than Mussolini said so. Now there are some, not many mind you, but some people that will proudly tell you their great nation is the modern day continuation of Rome. Although like Mussolini, they rarely have any real merit to their argument, just lots of pride. The only one I'm going to mention is Russia, because recently I've seen a few articles bringing up the Third Rome concept in reference to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the idea of the Third Rome was invented in the late 14th century in Russia. At the time, the Orthodox Byzantines were becoming friendly with the Pope, and the Orthodox Russians viewed this as complete and utter heresy. This led to two things. Firstly, the formation of the Russian Orthodox Church, and secondly, when from the Russians' point of view the Orthodox Roman Empire became full of heretics, it was up to them to carry on the Orthodox and Roman legacy. After the fall of Constantinople, this idea only grew stronger, and some Russians at the time began identifying themselves as Romans. Though I highly doubt it if you walk the streets of Moscow today and ask locals if they think they're Romans, they'll do anything other than laugh at you. If you're a supporter of the Third Rome theory, then lucky for you, Rome continues to live on in the 21st century, as Russia's main faith continues to be Orthodox Christian, 550 years after the fall of Constantinople. Now, my conclusion. Is this video an arbitrary, over-detailed study of something that doesn't even matter? Yes, it absolutely was, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Thank you for watching. And here's my ranking.